Welcome to R-Rated Christianity. No, you're not seeing things once again. Brother Nico is not among us. He is about important work, though. Important work concerning his law practice right now, which is facing and dealing and working through a very important case here in San Antonio. So our prayers are with him. You can follow that, by the way, literally, right, Salo? I mean, you can, I think it's on KSAT. You can literally follow Nico in the courtroom. And I'm telling you, it is worth watching. It's better than anything on television. Except it's actually serious, and you're actually dealing with real people who, well, I mean, I think in his view, certainly, and the evidence seems to certainly support the fact that they're being accused unfairly and unjustly. And so I think you guys got to check it out. Go on, is it ksat.com? And you can follow the trial there. I followed portions of it, and it's truly riveting. Pray for him and his law firm. They're doing amazing work. And of course, pray for the defendants and their families. These are trying times for them, undoubtedly. R-Rated Christianity. What do we do here? We talk about all kinds of issues. We get into theology, we get into doctrine, and then we get into the bridge between that doctrine and application out in civic society. So we don't shy away from political topics when it's pertinent. Especially controversial ones. And what political topic isn't controversial today? It seems like everything's a controversy. We'd like to think that we are speaking the truth into these things, and that our truth, the truth that we're speaking, is the truth, and it's informed by biblical principles. God's word, which is the seat, the foundation of all truth. God determines what truth is, and he's endowed human beings with the faculties to discover that truth and then communicate it by his grace. And that's our prayer and our hope that we're doing here, hopefully eloquently, certainly clearly, and absolutely accurately. I hope so. We try to ground everything on what the scripture says. Tonight is one of those interesting topics where we delve into what happened last night, the political and decidedly the moral. See, whatever our politics are, it's always influenced by morality behind the scenes, and then those politics then go on to influence more morality downstream. I'm not sure who it was that said, maybe it was Andrew Breitbart that said that politics is downstream from the culture, but it's really cyclical, isn't it? Because ultimately, whatever politics are allowed to flourish in a culture will ultimately feed back in and basically influence that culture. So what happened last night? Really, it's a crazy night. It was a strange night, especially in the aftermath of what happened November 20, 2024. The temptation, it seems to be, is that it's a repudiation of what happened in 2024, like a repudiation of the election that brought Trump into the White House. I wonder if that's really the case. I'm not convinced that it was. I think there's a lot of things going on here, but I think we'll analyze the politics on Sidebar this Saturday, where we get into politics and culture, but it's almost all politics. Join us on Sidebars on Saturday morning, by the way, on iHeart. They can go on sidebartv.com. Is that right, Salo? And check us out there. We get into the politics of the week, and we try to bring in our view and our spin, if you will. That, again, I hope is rooted in objective truth. But this is decidedly a Christian apologetics show. And so we want to get into today, and we have our brothers coming. They're going to join us here in a few minutes. Pastor Marquise Cox and his brother, Pastor Maurice Cox. And they're going to give us their inexorable wisdom. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do is to introduce why it matters what happened last night and why we're talking about it on this show. As I said, this is an apologetics show. Christian apologetics is defined, I think, by one of the best philosophers out there, Dr. Douglas Groothuis. That's Groothus. He defines Christian apologetics as a defense of the Christian gospel in a way that is rationally compelling, objectively true, and subjectively engaging. It has to make sense. It's got to be logically consistent. It has to be cogent, coherent. It has to make sense, right, to our rational faculties. It can't be incoherent. It can't be babbling. And so it's got to make sense. It's got to be objectively true. It can't just be more. It's got to be more than your feelings. It can't just be how you're feeling that particular hour or day. It's got to be rooted in something out there. The Bible's philosophy on truth says the truth is out there, and it's not a matter of how we feel. It just is what it is, because God put it out there. He designed the world, and he designed the world in truth. and the truth can be discovered. And the more we study his word, the more our perspective changes. And frankly, the better our abilities to delve into what the truth actually is. It's got to be objectively true. It can't be subjectively true. And then lastly, it's that it's got to be subjectively engaging. It's got to bring people in. It's got to be interesting. So hopefully we're checking off all those boxes here on this show. If we're not, please write in and say how we can improve the show. We'd love to hear your feedback. What do they say? Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So we'll take it. Where do we get this idea of Christian apologetics? It comes from the Gospels. It comes from the Scriptures. The New Testament, Acts 22:1, Acts 25:16, 1 Corinthians 9:3, 2 Corinthians 7:11, 2 Timothy 4:16, even 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 15 to 16. The idea of defending the gospel, defending the good news, defending the words of God as revealed in the Scripture. And then, but we don't just defend them. We defend them in context. How do they apply? If we understand the message that is being shared by the authors of the Scripture, then how shall we live? How does it apply to various things? In the home. Come on in, brothers, join us. Just finishing up my little narrative here on Christian apologetics and how it's not just defending the gospel, but defending the message of the Scriptures, which, of course, I guess one would assume that one understands what they are. So there's tools called hermeneutics for the study, the interpretation of the Scriptures. That's part of apologetics. So having arrived, hopefully, at a true understanding of what the message of the author is, authorial intent always matters. It is our temptation, particularly today, to come into the Scripture with preconceived notions about what the Scripture says, or worse yet, what it should say. And then we end up making it match us. So in the end, we're not really getting instruction from the Scriptures. We're almost instructing the Scripture ourselves. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
Good Christian apologetics helps you resist that temptation. But ultimately, there's application. Application should follow from the message. And that's really what tonight's show is about. Why does a Christian apologetical show care about what happened in the nation yesterday with regard to political decisions? Why do we even care? Because most people are analyzing it through partisan lens. The Democrats pretty much they actually did have quite a blue sweep.
Yeah.
Not sure I'm ready to call it a wave, but it was certainly a sweep.
Okay.
And the Republicans took a significant hit in New York City, unquestionably. I mean, the numbers weren't even close. They were crazy numbers.
Yeah, it was.
In New York City, Zohran Mamdani, who is now the mayor-elect of New York City. I barely utter the words. And again, why is that? It's less because he's a Democrat, because of the moral platform that he represents, and he hasn't been bashful about it. He's been very subtle about the implications of his worldview on society, on American society. And perhaps his greatest strength is that he does this. He just smiles. He's actually done that. I've watched multiple videos of him. They'll ask tough questions,
genuinely.
and he'll literally just smile, and he'll change the subject. And they let him do that because he goes on platforms that allow him to do that. I'd love to see him come on the show. Not that he would ever do that, but because that wouldn't happen here. But we'd be respectful, but we wouldn't let that slide. We said, well, we need an answer to that question. But he won over just a horrific candidate, in Andrew Cuomo. He's just got, baggage the size of, blimps. I mean, really, this guy's weighed down by serious baggage here politically over the last several years. And he was a terrible candidate. So then we had Curtis Sliwa, and I'll let Nico pontificate on Curtis Sliwa. And he's like, "Why did you drop out, dude?" So we had a very flawed Republican candidate. Bottom line is he won by 9 points. Abigail Spanberger, she won the governorship in Virginia. The state is decidedly blue. It's been blue. It had PTSD from COVID, and it decided that Glenn Youngkin was a better alternative to the utter chaos. So, but I mean, it's a Democrat run state, and so it kind of went back to its first love. But Abigail Spanberger, not even close. I thought for a state that cares so much about race and equity and diversity, this would have been a really good time to vote for Winsome Sears.
Yeah.
But she got shellacked by 15 points. It wasn't even close.
Wow.
And Abigail Spanberger, I mean, had a tough time constructing an English sentence. So the bar was low. So that was interesting. The lieutenant governor decision, I think, was really interesting. I felt like I was back in New York City again. Lieutenant Governor Hashmi, which is a Muslim woman, came in. I thought that was interesting. And then you have New Jersey, right? Jack Chattarelli, who ran for a third time, and may it be his last. And he got shellacked by 13 points. Why should these things matter on a Christian apologetics show? Why?
That is
Why
incredible. And I think and me and Maurice have not spoken before this, but I want to say this. I really do believe, and I love how Salo phrases it, I want to be, quite honestly tonight, the naive interviewer to you, George.
Oh, wow.
And here's why. I really do believe when it comes to the political waters of our history and today, quite honestly, that's not a place where me and Maurice are more so on the newer side of coming into political knowledge, becoming aware of how these political ideologies seep down into culture. Not that we've been naive before, but now it's much more of a pertinent concern that we're delving into now versus before, where we kind of just was like, hey, here's the truth. Everybody was more so, the church was okay with, I guess what I would call the happy middle, which is, hey, we're not left, we're not right, we're kingdom. And which is true. I get the statement, our primary focus, the primacy, is kingdom. But it sort of gave us a way not to be partisan at all. And we abdicated our role because we felt safe saying, okay, we're just kingdom. And I don't speak for every church person. I don't speak for the Big C church. But just for a lot of peers and colleagues I know, especially pastors, when you didn't really know the political landscape, you're just like, we're going to keep things strictly Jesus, which, man, it's incredible. And yes, but I want to vote, and how should I vote? And I think we just haven't done well at giving apt answers to people who are questioning these types of things. So reverse Uno card on the table here. Why would and this is what I read today, the 3 M's, a millennial Muslim
Say it.
mayor. There it is. Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, that's what it was. Thank you, Salo, because I was looking for that. I don't know what Jordan.
Millennial. Okay, I'll fill it in. I'm not
millennial
bashful.
Muslim mayor. And that was like a big thing. The first millennial Muslim mayor of New York. And why is a Muslim socialist mayor bad for New York? And I guess we'll just start there and kind of let that bleed in. But I'm truly interested to hearing why that may be a bad thing.
Before I give you my slightly better than uninformed opinion, because I want to ask you, are you? I'm going to ask a question of all pastors. I'm going to use you guys as proxies.
Yes.
Because I know you'll be very comfortable with that. Until I ask you the question.
Yeah.
Are you? Should pastors be willing to volunteer where their political persuasions are in terms of partisan platforms?
Yeah, that's great.
Should pastors be willing to share that information? Like if I ask you, will you be voting Democrat or Republican? I'm not going to ask you that. But if I were to ask you, will you be voting Democrat or Republican, and why?
I see what you're saying.
Should pastors run away from an answer to that question? Number one, or should they confront it and just answer? May I answer the damn question? So, and it's not a law. I'm just curious.
Yes.
What do you think should be is there like a rule operating in the background that we should all, because I'm not a pastor, you're not a pastor, Sala. I'd like to know the answer to the question.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some rule among friends, pastoral friends, but my inclination is to just to answer the question honestly, but defend the question, and then have some engaging conversation. But I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that too. And the second part is, is there a fear, reticence, hesitation, maybe even trepidation?
That's great.
That if you come from a church where there's more than 2 pastors, and you come from a church where there's literally a staff of leaders, that your answer may all of a sudden make you persona non grata. All of a sudden, people aren't blessing you at the water cooler. You know, no, because after the last election, actually in the 2016 election, we heard all kinds of crazy stories of Christians no longer talking to each other.
Yeah.
Families no longer going to each other's Thanksgiving dinners. These are people who are professed Christians.
Yeah.
Some of them were even clergy.
Yeah.
It was that crazy. That's the political culture we're in today. So it's a two-part question. Is there a fear? Should pastors be willing to just answer the question? And if they don't, is it because they're afraid? And then I won't even ask you. I have a third part, but I'll wait. I'll wait.
Mo, you want to hop in?
Sure.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is. I think that I would be a fool to not think that there is some sort of fear behind pastors not stepping into that particular question. I think the landscape hasn't cultivated a good conversation. I don't think that we have discipled people well enough to hold that conversation maturely. And I think that the churches that are, now, and this is what I'll say, the churches that are very blatantly one way or the other, it's easy to tell, oh, okay, cool. You can just get up there and shout that you're a Democrat or that you're a Republican. But those are typically churches that are more than likely filled with an echo chamber and that everybody are thinking and voting the same way. But for people to have a mature conversation about what that looks like, and I think any person should be able to defend or to articulate why they're voting a particular way. I think that's important in general. And I think that we're getting to a point where it is important for us to do that because, here's what I would say, I appreciate when pastors that are a Democrat and pastors that are Republican can talk through why they believe what they believe or why they're voting a particular way. And I think we probably need to see more of it. And we're probably getting to a point where it's a tipping point of the sort of kind of wading into, like, honestly, I think it's a sort of a vulnerable conversation, if I'm honest with you, for people. It's like, as it's like, all right, so how much do you make? And what's your salary? And what do you file for your taxes? How do you, it's like, oh, okay, like money? I don't know if we bring up money. It's the same
kind of category.
It's the same sort of like,
don't go near that.
We talk about, like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What do I? So I think it is a little bit of a hesitancy there. So I would say, though, we're seeing an uptick of that being more vocal, but it's a good thing, in my opinion. And I think it's good only because we need to have more conversation, robust conversation of there are people that land in these two different camps, let alone, I say, people who, for one, don't want to vote at all, people who are, I don't know if there's any more Green Party people or whatever the case may be, right? But there's a lot of different things. So I may ramble a little bit, but I don't know. Tell me what you think, Q.
Yeah, I personally, to your point, it's never been spoken about to say don't speak on these things, but it's sort of been coached of, hey, nobody needs to know necessarily where you land until you're over a cup of coffee having conversation with them. So it was more, hey, let's put it under the moment of conversation because you don't want to be off-putting. You don't want to, and what it was sort of the seeker-friendly mindset always of, hey, let's not be off-putting. You can have those beliefs, but let it be over a cup of coffee and not from a grand stage where you can send somebody into a frenzy that doesn't believe what you believe. So you sort of were coached on, okay, that makes sense because it's alluring. You want to be winsome, the big W word of the last 2 decades. So it was like, that's the thing. So nobody explicitly said you can't, but there is, to what you just spoke about, there is was a trepidation. And the reason I say is because that's starting to get less and less, or pastors are starting to get less and less fearful of that and actually coming right out and saying, hey, here's where I'm at. But there was a fear of, I don't really want to say this. They're going to think I'm a racist. They're going to think I'm a because of the immediate categorization of pastors and you wanting to be all things to all men, to quote Paul, and if you quote Paul, then it must be right, okay?
Sure.
So you want to be all things to all men, you just have this like very chameleon style way of talking, and so you did not talk about those things. So there was a fear there, and it was rooted in all those things. Here's, for me, the thing that sort of ripped the Band-Aid off for me, and this is more personal, I've just always sort of, okay, this is what I've seen go before me. This seems to be right. I'll just do that. And it wasn't as until the last couple of elections, not just on the national level, but on the local level, where I started to say, I actually want to state where I stand and be okay with that, because what is the fear? And it was sort of the like, and this is all personal. I'm not projecting, this is more Marquise than pastoralship. What is the fear? What is the boogeyman of actually saying, hey, this is what I believe, this is how I vote? So for me, I vote conservatively. It did not matter so much, and I got rid of the person of the Republican Party, of Trump and whoever that was, and I went to the ideologies. I went to the beliefs, the values, and said, no, when it comes to the sanctity of life, I land here. When it comes to marriage, I land here. When it comes to truth, when it comes to genders, I land here. And as I did the jelly bean on one side, left or right, at the end of it, whatever that was, it landed to be Republican, and I have actually more conservative values. So I am and I know this takes the long route, I am a Christian who happens to vote conservatively as a Republican. And I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. But before, there was such a big, and there's so much with me personally. It was cultural. It was, didn't want to offend, and my upbringing, JFK, Jesus, Martin Luther King, and you vote Democrat. Like, it was just like, that's who we
Then Obama.
were. And then
Obama.
Yes,
Yeah,
Maurice makes sure
right
we put Obama in there too. But so it was a lot of cultural, a lot of all that stuff. But there was this fear of, I may turn people away. But I love what Mo said. We also don't want to overcorrect and create an echo chamber of, you need to be Republican or Democrat in order to work on staff here, because that's not what we want to create either. So no echo chambers, no like, you got to do what I do. But then to your point, yeah, there are some younger staff members that will hear a senior pastor say, yeah, we vote conservatively, and immediately get turned off by that because of their belief system. So
I asked the question. I figured you guys would answer similarly to what you did, but I have to say, we talk a lot in here about the incremental drop in the number of people that affiliate themselves with the Christian church. Mm-hmm. And it's been happening pretty systematically over the last 50, 60 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And whatever the polling source, whether it's Pew or Gallup or Barna, it seems to converge on this dynamic of dropping affiliation, and this group called the nuns, which call themselves spiritualists at the core. They're spiritual. And there are some people who say, well, it's a melting pot of various religions. People have disillusioned with organized religion. But the reality is it's overwhelmingly Christian. These are people who are and it makes sense in a traditionally Christian majority nation like the United States. I mean, there's some disillusioned Muslims in there. There's some Hindus in there. But overwhelmingly, it's people who are disillusioned with the church. And as we look into the data tables, the issue seems to be that the church has kind of checked out. Church is not off, because there's two camps. If you go to a seeker-friendly church, the narrative there, which is wrong, is that, well, it's because Christians aren't nice. They just need to be nicer. Right. They need to give more hugs, and they need to present the shinier, sweeter, cuddlier, warmer side of Jesus. Yeah. And we're just mean. Yep. That's the problem. Well, only about 5 or 6% of the people who say they've exited the church are making those claims. It's overwhelmingly because the church isn't engaging. As Nico and I always say, we're answering questions nobody's asking. And the questions that we do answer that people are asking, we ask her just absurdly. Yeah. Because we take sort of the path of least resistance, and often the wrong one. And so here's my concern. My concern is that this fear, which I believe exists, you guys are touching on, has led to the church sitting by and basically watching the de-Christianization of America. Wow. With virtual impunity. Yeah. And so this echo chamber has invariably, because nature abhors a vacuum in most cases, in case you're a serious physicist, that's generally the case. There are some exceptions. But I was going to say, it's true here. It's demographically in the church that
Yeah.
the church has taken itself out.
Absolutely.
And so something else has filled that vacuum. And so
Absolutely.
you've seen sort of a general assumption of Christian ideals in American culture being sort of the governing ethic, even if people weren't attending church, to now that happening in reverse. And I'm leading up to what leads to this.
I
What
hear you.
What
I
leads,
hear you.
because the types of candidates that we're talking about are just crazy. These are
Yeah.
crazy people and what they're pushing and what they're suggesting. These are crazy notions.
Yeah.
This isn't like, hey, we agree on most things, we just disagree on how to implement it. No, there's a fundamental rejection of Americanism and the ideals that built America, which, and I just want to share a couple of thoughts
I would
from
love
some of
that.
those founders
Yeah,
with you
for
guys.
sure.
I mean, these are like in your face from the founders, for goodness sakes, that I'd like to get your thoughts on. This is a repudiation of America.
Wow.
It truly is. It's a repudiation of the morality that buttressed America. That's where we are.
Yeah.
And so how did we get here? And I think that the church plays a key role, has played a key role in taking itself out of the fight.
Yes.
And it was afraid to push back because the reality is the echo chamber out there that resulted from the de-Christianization.
Yeah.
Remember, something filled that echo chamber with people who all say the same thing and who are expected to believe the same thing.
Yeah.
And then you have lunacy around gender, you have lunacy around race,
Yeah.
you have lunacy around marriage. I mean, truly. And so what's the church going to do now?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just would say that I
What's the alternative?
want to provide one caveat that I would say to this.
Yeah.
That, and it's interesting because Marquise, you could confirm this, and I know that we don't like getting into black church, white church, Mexican church, all the different things, right? Growing up in the black church, it was not a withdrawal from politics, and I think this is important. We very much leaned into the political sphere of conversations,
100%.
who the people are. I mean, every 4 years, all the different things, the uptick we would have at church, voter registration, let's get vote, let's make sure you're registered, get everybody to vote, like lines, these things that we would, I mean, political talk throughout the conversation where you could, and like a lot of churches I would see even today, but you could easily connect the dots. This is where the church leans.
Because it was
This is
never
where-
outright, hey, y'all vote this way, I'm voting this. It was like,
It was, I'm gonna
Y'all-
tell you,
yeah.
as a, we would probably
Yeah.
hear sometimes as a 501c3, I probably can't say too much, but I'm gonna tell you right now, if it's like a man and a woman, it's like, I'm not going with him. It's like, something like,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
it would see something, whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
It would be
But
like
it was-
these
it was present.
in jest, but it was very present. It was very in our face. It was very much, this is how we engage. I mean, to the point of also the historical piece, hey, your toolbox as a black person in America, now that what we have fought for as a nation, your weight and what you vote, like, dude, you gotta vote, dude. You gotta use that. You got so it was pressed, it was talked about, it was something that was in our face. And so leading up to the conversation of like where we got here, I think some of that, now you merge that from the church perspective with the conversation of like, hey, how did we get to the point in the church where it's just Democrat for this, or within the black church, so to speak, right? Or there's just these things where it's not a flinch or any sort of resistance when a Democrat's on the ballot. It's like, yeah, this is some of the things, some of the beliefs that we have when it comes to these things. So
That's an
sometimes
important caveat. It's an important caveat.
yeah,
It-
sometimes
it
it
is.
would.
It's
So as we're
true.
bringing up to the stats, all the different things, I just want to be clear. Like, there are pockets and a lot of times where we grew up in a lot of different denominations that we are very much aware of. Political talk is very much on the front lines, very much so on the front lines. And I think it's why we see what we see, and that's why I've always been intrigued around the conversation. And that's why I always, in my good dear friend, dear brother Nico, when he brings up, can you be Democrat and Christian? Can you be Republican and Christian? From the lens of which I grew up. So I think there's much depth there, but I'm like, dude, there's more than what we see on the surface.
Okay,
of
well, let me build on what
these
you're
things.
saying, because
Yeah.
the reality, I think the reality is, unless I'm missing something, and I know you'll correct me. Black churches have been decidedly more politically involved, and openly so, than white churches. It didn't used to always be that case. I mean, literally over the last 3 to 4 decades. more so, but virtually all of them fall on the left side of the political spectrum.
100%.
And
For sure.
And here's the issue, and I know we've talked about it in here before. The issue is that's the religion, and that's
What's the
in
religion?
every left wing church. Politics takes center stage because that's the actual religion.
Mm.
And you wouldn't say that on the reverse?
Well, with very few exceptions. I know that there are right wing churches that you know they're in your face about it. But that's, I mean, it's needle in the haystack type stuff compared to the other side.
Okay.
And I know a few. But I guess what I'm saying is that's a movement. It's a movement. The left has co-opted the black oppression movement.
Okay.
Or I was going to say the black anti-oppression
Right. Yes.
motivations has co-opted that into a political movement. And I think that's unfortunate because obviously there's more to black churches. There should be more to black churches than, hey, are we truly perpetual slaves? Is that the message you want to send to your kids? That ultimately you're perpetual slaves, and that's how they see you. And in essence, I mean, we're kind of see that as ourselves, so we need to keep fighting this battle, which you basically determine that's never going to get out of your bloodstream. And so I guess what I'm saying is that in itself shows that the left isn't ashamed. The left side of the politics isn't ashamed to make it all that they are.
Right.
It's literally a religion.
I see.
To them.
I see.
And so that's very different on the other side, generally speaking. And so I guess what I'm saying is that those are not biblically based positions to take.
Okay.
They're not.
What isn't?
The positions that racism, for instance, is your worst sin,
I see.
and that you should talk about it all day long, or that transgenderism is God's idea, and that he thinks it's totally moral to do that.
Totally.
And that having 60 genders is actually defensible by the scripture, and that there's such a thing as homosexual marriage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being a married bachelor.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
I mean, so these things are pushed,
Totally.
and that's central to the dogma out of left wing churches. And then you've got basically left wing hermeneutics. Now it's a thing in seminaries.
Yes, for sure.
And so this is how did that happen?
Yeah.
I mean, all I'm saying is the truth tellers weren't demanding that the truth be heard. Because I mean, something didn't fill that vacuum. Something filled that vacuum and it wasn't the truth. I guess is my point. That happened incrementally over time. And all I'm saying is we can't be surprised that culture at large.
I agree.
Because the church in this country has had a leadership role. We've really been out front in shaping the ethos of the culture from the beginning of the country. Mo. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's okay to just be okay with that.
I totally hear. And so here's what I was saying why I think it's important to look underneath the hood of some of these things, because I think we're right on pace for even what I think, and some could say is intentional, right? For the backdrop of the things that you listed for sure. And I think also a part of that list is the pain and the ache of like what's taking place, of whether it's the layoffs, whether it's SNAP benefits, whether these things, and then we fill a gap with. And to be honest, you look at the landscape of things, and I don't know if, and it's maybe more so probably my algorithm, I'll totally admit sometimes, but I don't see a good like filling in when it comes to those things around some of that. And although the statistics like overwhelmingly when it comes to compassion, when it comes to giving to the needy, like all these things, but you still have prominent people that get up and they say, yeah, like as all millions of people get up and go to work and, stop being lazy and entitled. And it's like, that's all of them. Like, so you have this where it's like, actually, I got 2 jobs doing this and that, and I, get this, but I don't have, whatever the case may be, right? So I don't think there's, on the backdrop of it, I think Democrats do a job of coming in of like, hey, and what about these things of like, whether it's your layoffs, SNAP benefits, whatever the case may be. I don't know if I'm making a good, but there's,
let me ask you
to that list,
I think it's great.
I want to add
a better job of selling things.
add a level of
that's great.
poverty and pain, and it being something of like Democrats being the default when it comes to that. It could be totally wrong, but the narrative, the cultural, like what people see is, in the stream of what they're seeing is like, do people care about this? How do people care whether ICE is a good thing or not, how are people being carried? How are people like it's the
And yet,
care?
on the poverty, like using the poverty example, the Obama coalition is now the Trump coalition.
What do you mean by that?
The Obama coalition of the little guy, the have-nots, the sort of forgotten minorities, right? And he was talking about brown and black primarily. I don't remember him making a pitch for Asians.
Biden did.
Yeah.
He did.
Not so
passed the
effectively.
crime bill.
There's been a demographic shift to Trump. That Obama coalition is no longer the Obama coalition. It's voting for Trump.
I see.
And so the people that are driving the Democrat Party right now, Q, are really, truly radical lunatics that, and I'm generally speaking here by the numbers, that are not fighting for the little man, because that little man's voting for Trump economically.
I see.
I mean, you've got basically a bunch of rich, white guilt elites that are pumping money into the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
You have a lot of foreign money. You have socialist communists. That Zoran Mamdani calls himself a socialist. He's that would have been a death knell 10 years ago, even then.
Right.
I mean, so he's out there proudly.
Yeah.
Democrat Socialists of America control the Democrat Party. So they're not, and the average black man, it seems to me, isn't flocking the Democrat Party,
right?
Like they were under Obama. There's been a shift.
Oh, totally.
I
agree.
Total shift.
We see it in our group chats.
So
It's true. I'm not gonna lie. It's a real microcosm of
these are
what's
a
happening.
group of fringe groups that are grievance based, and there's power in grievance.
That's a great way to put it.
And there's a coalition of grievance-based groups that is amassing enormous power, and it's led by a decided anti-Americanism. They're not trying to reform.
Yep.
They're trying to transform.
Yep.
And Mr. Obama, former President Obama, was right when he said he wanted to undertake a fundamental transformation of American culture. That's what he said he was going to do, and I'll be darned if he hasn't been successful.
So George, to get to this, because I feel like that's a great segue of what you just said, to this and all that just took place, why is a socialist Muslim millennial mayor a bad thing for New York?
And can I say why? Like what I think the surface messaging, not to answer your question, what I think surface messaging is a basic like, oh, dude, I want to stop paying for the subway. Thank you. Like, I don't think the average person is thinking socialism bad. No. What the heck? I think it's like, heck yeah, I want to my rent freeze. It sucks paying rent out here.
Yeah.
So I want to even get past some of the things that he's thrown out. What is underneath the veil of this? Hey, I'm speaking to your felt needs, which I think is like people like, heck yeah, finally. And there's something more, which I think that you could speak to.
Which the first person I heard do that years ago was Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And he came in and sounded crazy with the socialist ideas. And now he looks like a moderate.
He does.
Because
he
came in and we were like, wait, what does he want to do? And he's like, free this, free that, free. And it was
Go
kind of like,
Burton. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, when he said like, take away free tuition. And I'm like, that George sounds,
and we were college students. We said, heck yeah.
We need Bernie.
We need Bernie.
I was so it was a felt need, and it felt like this is an American ideal. Absolutely. This helps me get to the American dream. Free tuition. So socialism, this guy,
so that they can destroy it. So
they can destroy
what?
The American dream, because the political philosophy and the morality is decidedly anti-American. He's been open about that. Look, morally speaking, this is a man who won't run away from globalize the Intifada. Anybody who's
which
done
means what?
Which I mean, you got to go back to Yasser Arafat 50 so years ago, which is really a call for mass resistance and violent resistance against the Jewish people. It is a distinct call for the extermination of Jews. That's what the Intifada is. And so when you globalize, the Intifada hasn't been global, but I mean, there's a movement that says globalize this thing, and it's coming out of the Middle East, really in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks. You've been seeing it more. You've seen what happened here in the United States with dozens of demonstrations, violently so, on American campuses. You got to connect the dots because they're all saying the same thing. So what in the world does an intifada movement that comes out of the Middle East from Arabic Muslim cultures that hate Israel and want to destroy Israel in the Middle East? What's the connection between that and American students on college campuses, mostly Ivy League, but major, publicly subsidized universities, basically chanting the same thing from the river to the sea?
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So these are extermination calls. These aren't let's sit across the table and try to hash out our differences calls. This guy has been, there's been multiple interviews where he was asked to dismiss that and denounce it, and he didn't. Well, I wouldn't say it that way, he said. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, the devil takes the same approach, right? He tells you exactly what you want to hear the way you want to hear it. And then all of a sudden, as Nico said, you turn around and you're getting the old Catucci. So that, for me, that was a major concern because he's okay with the extermination of a people group. I don't give a crap what you think about the Jews. Tonight's not that kind of night.
Right. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm
but
with you.
I mean, pick a people group.
No, I'm with you.
Right? So that's a big red flag. I mean, his positions on the police were decidedly insane. He called them wicked. He wanted to defund the police. He doesn't even want to have police. He wants social workers, essentially, community workers.
You've seen him walk.
Right?
You've seen him retract that statement. Like he walked it back of like I didn't. Like
Right.
I said that I did say that in 2020.
Right.
I sat down with the police and apologized. I don't want to do that.
I saw that.
Is that more of like a
It's an
charlatan?
apology of convenience because if you try because
I'm with you.
and
I'm with you. It's
not
hilarious.
because
But
you're
yeah.
just impugning negative motives. Well, I mean,
wanna win.
it's not a conspiracy. It's called. Gee, I can follow along, and I know
Yeah.
how long it's taken the man to get there.
What do you
So,
mean?
in other words, I tell my son this all the time because we have these conversations a lot. My
Yeah.
17-year-old son, we were having a conversation about this and sort of the anatomy of an apology. And anybody who has kids really can. You try to bring an issue to your kid,
Yeah.
and I mean everybody, Christian or not, wants
Yeah.
there to be some contrition
Yeah.
when they hear something they've done wrong, whatever. Dad, I'm sorry, you're right. Versus no apology at all,
Yeah.
and just sort of a grunt, or oh, okay. And Jaden's not like this. I'm just saying we've had these
Talking through
conversations.
what it means.
Because he's busy doing things, he's thinking about something else, and I'm trying to have a conversation and say, hey, this is a really big deal. It's actually, why was it a big deal, Dad? Every 17
Yeah.
What was a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because you affected somebody. You might have hurt somebody. You got to be thinking about other people. It's not just about you. And it's particularly if you're a believer.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about your impact on other people. It's an act of love to do that.
Yeah.
And if you should be at least curious whether you've hurt somebody. And then that should wound you because it wounds the heart of God. And that should motivate you to apply. It should be organic. And it should literally just roll off your mouth. Geez, I'm sorry I did that. Forgive me for that. You shouldn't be coerced into an apology. I shouldn't have to make a case for your apology.
And this is what he's
Exactly.
I got you.
So this is a guy who's repeatedly run away from that slogan. And his pro-Palestinian stances are gross. I mean, he takes the same positions that Hamas that Hamas takes, basically as it pertains to. Let me flesh that out. So he's posed with is it Siraj Wahaj?
Oh, the guy.
He is the 1990. He's a co-conspirator of 1993 World Trade Center bombing. He's an imam who is on board, totally on board with the extermination of the Jews. He thinks that the United States had 9/11 coming. This guy's posing with him. He's in the same page. He called it an honor. I mean, you just have to connect the dots. It's instance after instance after instance. Then you build, it seems to me, you infer to the best explanation for who this guy is. And this is just, these are moral positions. Then you get into the economics. You guys already talked about some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, truly capping rents. I mean, they already don't have enough places to live.
Yeah.
What do you think landlords are going to do? Tell me what your motivations is as a landlord to maintain any apartment if the rents are capped right now. There goes that motivation. If they think they live in squalor now, wait to see what's coming.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for transportation? Exactly how?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear of a thing called a deficit? Right? How are you going to pay for that?
Yeah.
The vast majority of New Yorkers who have any money are paying for taxes. And it's a slither of a percentage.
Yeah.
Those people, to the tune of hundreds of thousands, have already declared they're leaving the city. So what's the tax base going to be
Right.
once they leave?
Right.
Because they can see the handwriting on the wall.
Yep.
Right? And it's issue after issue, government-run grocery stores. Who the hell thinks that's a good idea? Can the government run anything efficiently, much less a grocery store? How fast do you think it'll take for that grocery store to run out of cereal?
I heard a lot of the bodegas were upset about that too.
You think?
Do you believe in, and you can give me more thought about this, the term that's been thrown around is taquilla? Taquilla?
Whoa.
The deceptive.
Tequila?
Taquilla.
Taquilla.
Yeah.
Taquilla. So, taquilla, do you believe that's what's going on in his worldview and his way of trying to infiltrate within New York City and legislation?
Somebody check me out on that. I mean, that is an Islamic principle. I think it comes from Surah chapter 3, verse 54 in the Quran.
Have you heard of this?
But
No.
This falls out of the character of Allah, that he is actually called the greatest of deceivers. In the Quran, you are allowed to deceive because your ends justify
I
it.
see.
Okay.
I see.
And conceal
And this is
your real plan.
in America, the way it's constructed in terms of civil rights facilitates that very, very well because the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is just an absurd organization that does an enormous damage. And the propaganda that comes out of that civ, is again, it's all civil rights based. That if I say anything against Islam, then that's clearly xenophobic. I mean, anytime somebody says anything,
Yes.
right? And they're not here bitching right now because we don't have that kind of political power. But if we did and we were saying that, I can tell you within 15 minutes we've been announced on Twitter because how dare we say anything against Islam? And so that's been the lieutenant governor who won. Was big time endorsed. I think Ashami.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember her name. I don't know why it escapes me. But I think it's
Okay.
Ashami.
Was that
Lieutenant governor in Virginia. Sorry.
And this was the mayor. Which one is the one that went from?
Abigail Spanberger. I think
it's this one.
This is Mike. Is this Mikey Sherrill? This is Mikey Sherrill. That's Abigail Spanberger. I think.
What did she run for?
Mikey Sherrill ran for governor of New Jersey.
New Jersey, and then
against
Virginia, governor of New.
That's correct. And she ran for governor of Virginia. Against Winsome Sears.
Winsome Sears, yes.
Yes.
okay?
Who the NAACP backed her, not
No way.
the black lady.
You think?
So, but anyway,
Stop.
yeah, no, that was.
And
that
the
was
Council
crazy
on
to find out. That was
American
crazy to
Islamic
find out.
Relations backed the lieutenant governor, Hashami. I don't want to get her name wrong,
Yeah.
but
Sorry, I threw you off there, but
so here's what I think is ultimately we got to deal with reality here.
Yeah.
We haven't done a show completely on Islam. I'd like to have you guys back for that because the Islamic Church, if you will, is advancing their cause very effectively in the United States. I mean, we're seeing enclaves of Islamic power already. And since the fall of the Ottoman Empire in 1922, you've seen you've seen Islamic influence infiltrate foreign societies systematically, incrementally, but very effectively. And Nico often talks about Yuri Bezmenov, who talks about the four stages basically of what is it, Salo? Is it the four stages of demoralization? Bezmenov was a former KGB guy, and in 1984, he was a defector, and he talked about what was happening in America already. That was 1984, and he says there's basically four stages that the Sovietization of a country looks like. The first one is demoralization.
Yes, I've heard of this.
And I think the next one is destabilization.
Gotcha.
And then you have crisis, and then you have normalization.
That's right.
Because something's got to fill that vacuum.
Right.
Heard of
And
this.
so what is decidedly against the former culture is now the law of the land.
Mm.
And it's not exactly the same four stages with Islam, but in terms of the elements, there's great similarity. Ideological subversion. Sorry, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Ideological subversion. It's those four stages that I just mentioned.
Wow.
And this was in 1984, but it had already been predicted in a book called The Naked Communist by C. Cleon Skousen from 1958. And it was something that was made available to the United States Congress. It was actually read in the United States Congress. And it was basically a series of stages to the United States, because remember, there was a deep fear of communism in the 1950s, the Jeff McCarthy hearings, Anyway, it was out of that this kind of awareness. There's an anti-communist act that remains, an open act in the United States. It's the law. So all of this to say that the United States traditionally, the government in the United States culturally, we've been taught to be very concerned about ideologies that were hateful of America and sought to not just push back on America, but to actually replace to replace those things.
Right.
And they're violent in nature.
Interesting.
Communism's violent nature. Communism, socialism, they both want control of a means of production, but it's far more than that. Communism takes it from you.
Mm-hmm.
A socialist you can have a conversation with.
Yeah.
What this guy's talking about, this is an incremental move towards communism. In every socialist society, it's always an incremental step towards communism.
No.
Indeed.
It always eventually
Yeah.
gets to.
Sure. The first thing the communists do when they get into power is get rid of the socialists.
The people that got him there.
Are you kidding me? Shoot. I mean, you blame them?
What?
You know? I mean, shoot.
my
You
gosh.
can't trust these people any farther than you can throw them. So,
Wow.
all of this to say that there's something deeper going on here. This is a replacement of a worldview.
Right.
Look, 62% of the people who supported Mamdani are foreign born.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
It is an immigration cesspool
Yes.
in New York City.
Uh-huh.
Now, he's got dual citizenship.
Yeah.
He's Ugandan,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And he has
yeah.
American
yeah.
citizenship.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but can anyone who's listening provide any proof that Uganda at any time has been a functioning democracy or republic of any kind, or that even has any kind of functioning culture at this moment? And what's happening is you've got boatloads of people in New York City who are voting for a guy who basically says the stuff that they've grown up around. They're voting for the same cesspool
I see.
that they came from,
Right.
truly.
Huh.
And so, I mean, Uganda is a disaster area.
Hmm.
Exactly how many people are standing in line fighting to get in Uganda right now?
No, I have no clue. Probably none. Very little.
So I'm just trying to speak the truth here,
Yeah.
and I realize that you guys are probably praying for me right now and close to praying for my salvation because this is not very nice. But these are realities. These
Yeah.
are electoral realities
Yes.
that we need to deal with. Worldview is replacing worldview.
Mm-hmm.
And we have very few people talking about that. And all I'm saying is there's a morality that's being replaced. Moral imperatives, moral priorities. They aren't biblical. And if church leaders aren't going to push back and teach their people because they're afraid,
Right.
right?
So
They're
I see.
xenophobic. Oh
Right.
my gosh, you just called me xenophobic
Right.
and racist. So I think we got to go to the root here because I know Molek's going to the root, but it's an uncomfortable root.
Well,
For sure.
I was getting ready to say, what the heck does the church have to do with any of this? Why would the church? And this is me giving you a chance to explain that, because here's what I want you to know: the church sees elections, politicians. We're like, that's not our lane.
Some people.
Seems to me,
Not
I
a
just,
lot.
I
A lot
just
of
asked
the
you
narratives,
that question.
A lot of the
Yes.
narratives.
I just asked you're the pastor.
Yeah.
You tell me. I mean,
So it's not our lane. It's like, dude, I get it. We're gonna, and I don't say this facetiously, but like, man, we're gonna pray. We're gonna make sure we seek God's face. But what does this?
the last
have to
prayer
do
that
with the
Jesus
church?
prayed, as you know, in John chapter 17, is that we are in the world, but we're not of the world. But we're certainly in the
still
world.
in it, yeah.
And then he said that basically, he asked the Father to sanctify his disciples by the truth, set them apart by the truth. He could have prayed anything. He prayed that.
Wow.
The truth sanctifies people. It sets them apart.
Got
Indeed.
it.
I mean, just inherently.
Yeah.
Right? Every time you tell the truth and it's an unpopular truth, you're immediately set apart. It's called conflict.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Jesus was well aware of this, and he prayed for his current disciples at the time. He prayed for his future disciples at the time. And so that's a mandate. If you're a Christian, you are required to sanctify the culture by the truth. You are.
Yeah.
That's
And yeah, I mean, it's persuasive in nature, and you do it in love.
Totally.
You should do it with confidence.
Yeah.
You should certainly do it informatively. We're not propagandists.
Yes.
Right? We don't twist the truth for personal gain. So, but that's central to his prayers. I mean, that's John chapter 17 and Matthew 28. We've said ad nauseum, right? The Great Commission to make disciples of all nations. That's a persuasive argument. We don't coerce. Anywhere there's been a growth of Islam. Look, the Ottoman Empire, I don't know how much you guys know about that, but that was a 7th century empire. It was the largest Islamic state in the world. It controlled vast swaths of Europe and Asia and Africa.
Time period.
13th century to the 20th
Yeah.
century. It collapsed in 1922 because they made they made a series of stupid decisions politically, but they aligned themselves with Germany in World War I that didn't go so well. So then obviously the Allied powers then
Wow.
dissolved it
Yeah,
in
yeah.
1922. That was the last essentially global caliphate.
Mm.
Okay, how did the Islamic Ottoman Empire from the 13th century to the 20th century, how do they grow? Through military conquest.
Wow.
That is not how, I don't care what you say. If you're saying that that's how Christianity grew by vis-a-vis the Crusades, you really don't know your history. That is not at all.
That is the
The
response.
conquest was a response
Mm-hmm.
to really the globalization of Islam. But setting that aside, 7 centuries of military conquest. It started really in Anatolia and in Turkey in the 13th century.
Wow.
And just exploded because Turkey, as Nico often says, was overwhelmingly Christian.
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying is that hasn't changed. We don't have a kinder, nicer, more refined Islam. That remains at the heart of globalized the Intifada.
Yeah.
That's the issue. And so, and in the name of civil rights, we're seeing a systematic and criminal Islamization of society. We have a Muslim mayor who won't walk away from that at all.
Walk away
He is
from
posing with a guy who thinks with a Muslim political and theocratic leader, Siraj Wahash. He is posing with him, and that guy has the most brutal videos out there on the intent of Islam. We're seeing in Michigan, in Minnesota, in New York. We're seeing even here in Texas. You guys have seen the videos?
Heard it in Houston.
Google it.
Which I heard was
This is a replacement of morality for morality. I guess what I'm saying is I think it's crazy. It's a rhetorical question to suggest, or I think it's crazy to suggest that the church leadership shouldn't be talking out loud about these things.
so outright denouncing and here's what's to come. So as you speak, here's what I internalize. That for me, if I'm the leader of a church in New York, let's just take that instance. I'm a leader of a church in New York. I see, I forget how to pronounce his name. What's the last?
Zoran Mamdani.
Zoran.
Mamdani.
I see Zoran getting ready to be one of the people that are getting ready to be elected. He's running my church. I take and understand his worldview. And this is how I'm internalizing, George. I play that out to its fullest in my mind. I play it all the way out. He gets elected. All these things take place. Basically, I'll just say sky's falling for this city. Once I come to that realization as a New York pastor of what the end's going to be because of this worldview, I then reverse engineer my way back to the church to say, hey guys, here's what the heck is getting ready to happen if we do not stand up and vote this out. Does that sound, not the end all be all silver bullet, but does that sound like sounding the red alarm of like, hey guys, this is a lot? Because what I don't think is happening is this is a lot worse than what people think. I think people are seeing it as, okay, this guy has some like socialist ideas and some views. They're not thinking all the stuff you just gave us the last 45 minutes of.
They're politically toxic because they ultimately lead to authoritarian government regimes and the loss of individual freedoms, economically and politically. But they're also morally toxic,
Right.
Because wherever this worldview has flourished, it's led to violence and the destruction, not just of Christians, but anybody who puts up any kind of resistance. If you go to his victory speech, I want to share an excerpt from you. This is what he said in his victory speech. Quote, we will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, ana minkum wa alaykum in Arabic, we will fight for you because we are you. Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas. Salo, shout out. Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. Did you watch it? Did you watch the victory speech?
Yeah.
So again,
He's very charismatic.
City of immigrants.
did
He's
we?
led by.
So we've imported not just new
He's
voters,
very charismatic.
but this is an entirely different ruling class that has exactly zero interest in assimilating to the status quo, which is American, to what it means to be an American. Equal justice under the law, the Constitution of the United States, right, which is decidedly founded on Judeo-Christian principles. This is a repudiation of those things. I mean, they come again. They're coming from republics that aren't functioning, where there's horrible violence. A lot of it is ethno-racial in nature, and there's zero effort to assimilate. And so I guess I would ask. I mean, we've seen this video before, but because we don't teach history,
right,
with respect, in or out of the church, we don't teach history.
sure.
We think this isn't this just wonderful? Diversity is our strength. Bullshit. Diversity is not our strength. It is everything but our strength. It is a thorn in the ass, at the very least, and it's outright malignant. And so, diversity of thought is part of one of the greatest American strengths.
Yes.
But this is the opposite of that. This isn't diversity of thought. This is the squelching of it. So I think it's not just politics as usual.
Right.
And we're seeing it throughout. I mean, Nico talks about Dearborn, Michigan. That's a caliphate that you have there. That's a Muslim caliphate. You've seen videos in Dallas. You've seen videos in Houston. Tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. The 4 stages usually starts with infiltration. Sheer demography. You guys have seen the videos. I've sent some to you.
Yeah.
And they're
they're
like
literally
a third
saying,
world country.
I mean, sure. I mean, the American demographic is having less and less babies.
Yes.
American born.
And they know that too.
Less and less babies.
They know that.
Right. And these folks are having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids.
Yep.
And so it's a demography game. So this is infiltration. The next stage is typically consolidation of power, where they literally start insisting on Islamic accommodations or accommodations for Islamic present society. You've seen them. I mean, Eric Adams a couple of years ago said that he was okay with the Islamic call to prayer every Friday during Ramadan in New York. And it happened. How is that okay?
Why is that a bad thing for the people watching?
Really? You try getting out there and uttering the Aaronic benediction from Numbers 6:24 to 26. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Try doing that in New York City every Friday. You think you'd be able to do that?
Interesting.
But somehow it's okay for the Islamic call to prayer.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, exactly right.
That's actually
Civil
a great
rights.
point. Yeah.
So all I'm saying is how long before, and that's consolidation of power. And then you get to literally open hostilities.
Yeah.
And demands. And then you get into total conquest. Look, it's happening in the United Kingdom right now. It's literally happening before our very eyes.
I've seen that.
I mean, it's not as far along in France, but it's damn close. But
In a
please go ahead.
nutshell, Sharia law, and I know you guys have talked a little bit about this, but that's why I say in a nutshell, because I know it could go. But because these are some things that, again, the common person doesn't. To your point, it's like, well, I want free rent, or I want, but nobody's thinking like the hornet's nest involves Sharia law. Which I don't know if I'm saying that right. How do you say that in Spanish?
Sharia is fine. You can say Sharia. Sharia law.
Sharia law.
It literally means the way, and it governs the political and the theological and the cultural life of all Muslims. It's all suffusing. And look, I just want to say, this is not about individual Muslims. I mean, I know some individual Muslims for whom I have the utmost respect, and I actually consider them good friends, really good friends. I mean, I know Muslims that are in my view far more honorable than a lot of Christians that I know, truly, and that I would trust with my life more than I would trust a lot of Christians.
Yeah,
and that's not hyperbole. It's not about individual Muslims.
Yeah,
there are plenty of individual Muslims who are not practicing that. They have a particular practice of Islam. But it's not by the book. It truly is not. And the Islam that advances and advances quickly isn't advancing by persuasion. It's advancing the same way that Muhammad advanced, which was ultimately through military power and military strength and really through coercion.
Got it.
And that is inevitable.
Yeah.
It's simply a demographic game. This is simply an establishment of Islamic enclaves. Now, we're sitting here talking about like it's theoretical. And what I'm suggesting is there aren't enough people. I mean, maybe Chip Roy? Chip Roy is the only guy who's out there saying, hey, we have to pass some legislation that outlaws Sharia law in the country.
I think Abbott banned that in Texas, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's up in the Capitol. But you're absolutely right.
I think I just read something like
Sharia
that.
In Texas. God bless him for it.
Yeah.
We need to see more of that. And we need to see the church now explaining because this is being passed along among our young as remember, diversity is our strength. That's a new religion. So as a wonderful thing. And why isn't the church teaching about how grossly unchristian and grossly militant and horribly unjust, if you care about women, if you care about minorities, good God.
Wow. There's your bait right
this
there.
is entirely in the purview of the Christian church to be educating on, again, here's what Christians believe, here what other religions believe, and the fact is that they're gaining political power. That's not okay, and the lack of assimilation is behind it. So this is the product of the lack of assimilation.
Got it.
Ultimately.
Oh,
No.
you gotta answer. You gotta speak to that. You gotta speak to that. Look at the pic.
Is that a serious question? Yeah, I'm not sure. Are you kidding me?
I mean, he's been missing for a couple weeks.
Are they not?
Right?
Yes. So again, I don't know if have you been. Were you listening at the beginning of the program? Serious. It's a serious question. I mean, as a dig. I try to explain that Nico is in the middle of significant litigation right now.
Significant.
Truly, matter of life and death. You've got it can be followed on ksat.com. It is a major legal case, and it's just absolutely consumed in his law practice. And so he's needed to devote himself to that, and he has been unable. Are you kidding me?
He is the program.
Of course he is. Absolutely, man.
All right.
So anyway. So do you think this will fall on deaf ears?
Some, but I do believe it always is a remnant of people who wake up, in my opinion, and realize this is a lot worse than what is being put onto or shown to us. And I don't know how, I don't know where it'll come from, but
somebody was just asking if you were kicked out of the program.
We're talking about Sharia law, baby, and Black Hebrews.
Come
the whole
on,
thing.
baby.
You look ready to go, baby. You look ready to fight, baby.
What are we talking about?
I just shared
This guy-
62% of the people that voted for Mamdani are foreign born.
Yeah.
And this
was a
is
foreign
less
election.
about it's less about a rejection
foreign
of traditional Democrats than it is. This is what happens when you have unfettered immigration.
And then where's
And
the church?
he's speaking the language of his constituents, which are largely foreign born. That's just reality.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about Islam?
We
yes.
were talking about
We
that
were-
for the
that
last
was the-
15 minutes.
the last-
Before somebody said, was Nico kicked out of the program?
Yeah, literally, that was a question on the line.
What program? Oh,
This
really?
program.
Oh, I'm in trial. I mean,
told him.
I just left court. I mean,
We
the
defended
judge
you,
let us
brother.
out. Thank
And I
you.
encourage
Oh,
you to follow
yes.
along on ksat.com.
That's
Um,
right.
Yeah.
You were
to
kicking
watch
butt
you in the
today, brother. I was
courtroom.
watching you.
And it's better than
today.
any legal program out there, man.
man, it is.
It is
Better than Law
badass.
and Order for sure.
They're showing us everything too.
Yeah, well, today was a pretty intense day, but it was a
Yeah.
good day. But yeah, no, Sharia law is real.
Yeah.
I mean, and George and I have been banging this.
You
drum
guys have,
for
man.
years.
Kudos to you guys for that. That
Well,
is
I was first exposed to it, and see, the problem is that we have such a bullshit standard today, where if you criticize Islam, you're called an Islamophobe.
right.
Yeah.
When you criticize Christians, you're not called a Christianphobe,
Right.
or
Yeah.
a Jesus-phobe.
Yep.
I mean, it's a one-sided
Yep.
criticism,
Yep.
and it shuts us up. And the church fell for that.
Yep.
I'm criticizing ideas because not all ideas are the same, but ideas have consequences. And so when I was DA, when I was district attorney here, they were trying to establish Sharia courts. So I was like, what the hell is a Sharia court? And because they almost did it in Irving. And so I did a deep dive in Sharia. So I mean,
How long ago was this?
Well, I was DA 15, 16, 17, and 18, 2015, 16,
Wow.
17. And so I was studying it back then. And this is when what do you call it? Islamization or whatever of Europe was happening. I mean, it was happening. Look at what's going on in the UK. And there's real consequences to that. And so when you talk about militant Islam or radical Islam, you just have Islam. I mean, if you look at the ideas of Islam, they're pretty radical. I mean, with the way they look at women, the way they look at homosexuality. Again, I mean, even though the Christian doesn't endorse it, we don't injure
We don't
them.
mistreat.
We don't
That's right.
mistreat them.
Yes.
They have the liberty to live the lifestyle they want to. They will have to stand before the same creator of the universe we do, and we all have to give an account.
Yeah.
And so we look at the scriptures and we say God is the author of life, and so that's the owner's manual of this thing we do on this side of heaven. And so we're bought into that because we're persuaded by it.
Yep.
So I study in Islam. There's three books. We have two. We have one. They have the Hadith, the Quran, and the Sirah. Right. And so then inside of the Hadiths, those are the traditions, and there's many of them. You have Sharia. That's the way that they govern, and that's the way. And so you had people pushing to set up Sharia courts where they would say the Constitution yeah, thank you, but no
But we're
thank
gonna
you.
govern this.
Sharia is going to govern us in what we do, in our disputes and whatever.
Wow.
And so I did a deep dive.
Interesting.
I was on panels about it. I debated it. I studied Bill Warner. I obviously studied David Wood. I studied, he just passed away. He passed away a while back. What's his name? I can't think of it. He was with Ravi Zacharias. He passed away. What's his name? Sorry. Thanks.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
You know what I'm
of
talking
course.
about. It's going to come to me.
Qureshi.
Nabil Qureshi. Thank you, brother. Nabil
I don't know
Qureshi.
that one. Wow.
And so I did it. I mean, I did a deep dive because I'm actually politically debating this because ideas get implemented. I mean, this is what happens. And part of this discussion I probably missed is the notion that the church bought into the fact of don't get political.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Don't get into. And
Yeah.
it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We have to get involved in persuading how society interacts with each other.
Yes.
I mean, that Matthew 28:19 is a political statement. Go into all nations, making disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. Now, when you look at it from the definition George and I use, politics just meaning a set of ideas advocated by a group of people to affect the lives of others. If you look at that definition, set of ideas advocated by a group of people, Matthew 28:19 is a political statement, not a partisan one. See, we're
Right.
the only idiots obsessed with Republicans and
That's
Democrats.
right.
Nobody else gives a shit about that.
Yeah.
And then the Islamic countries don't. Europe doesn't. The Bible doesn't care about it, but we do care about ideas. And
That's
so
right.
we look at platforms that are advocating ideas.
That's right.
And that's the way I look. That's the only way I look at Republican, Democrat.
right.
What ideas are you advocating?
Yeah.
And if both of you don't follow my Jesus, then I don't want either one of you.
yeah.
That's just me as a Christian, as a Christ follower. And so there's ideas here. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at the UK. Look at what you can or can't criticize. And so there's a lot coming here. And so the church needs to wake the hell up, in my opinion, and quit being neutered by saying you can't talk about politics. Why are you getting so political? I mean, our whole movement is political. It's just not partisan. Now, today, obviously, there's a partisan decision that people have to make because we only have two choices. But so we have to line up with who accepts our biblical views because the Islamic person is making that same assessment.
Right.
The Hindu's making that same assessment. The Buddhist is making, and the atheist. Everybody else says, but we're not supposed to. And we fall for that shit. We do. And then so many Christian leaders are all over the place. How can so many people believe the same thing and follow the same God and not have the same understanding? So I don't know what the hell you guys were talking about.
No, I mean, it's just,
but-
I think
all
that's a
ties
good encapsulation of the concerns that we addressed. Abdul Ayad, who's a well-known, I mean, in those circles, a well-known pro-Mamdani influencer who appears to have been speaking out of Plano, Texas, had this to say last night. Congratulations to New Yorkers. New York is going to be the safest place on planet Earth. There's no more Israelis in it. And it's going to be, yalla, you mother flowers, you Israelis, pack your bags and get out.
What? in the world?
So again, when you are okay with globalize the Intifada, and that obviously anybody who's studied it means the extermination of a people group,
Right.
and not nicely. There's no nice extermination,
Yeah.
but through violence, and that's the way it's been for decades. That's at the heart of the faith. That's
Yeah.
not an accident. They didn't stumble into it. That's just not a few people out there. That's at the heart of the faith, and we're not taking it seriously. Other than Chip Roy, I mentioned because he's been. I think he's pushing a bill forward to try to outlaw Sharia in the United States.
I said that. Did I say that to you today, or you're
He announced. Yeah, you did say that. I mean,
I
that's
said it
really
when
what
we were
need-
talking, when we were driving,
yeah,
right?
You've been saying that for a while.
nationally, we need to do that. You need to outlaw Sharia law.
now. Exactly.
Only
So-
the Constitution. There's nothing else that should govern our civic.
Only.
But I
Is
am
there
skeptical.
anywhere right now in the United States where Sharia courts govern?
The closest thing is in Dearborn because it's
Well, yes.
because I mean it's a freaking caliphate. I called it a caliphate.
Well,
I mean,
there's underground communities
Right.
that are governed by
Right.
Sharia.
Of course.
But Irving, when I was DA, Irving, Texas, look it up. You can
got
Google
close.
this. One vote away from establishing. Now, if somebody would have sued, they would have
Right.
gone up in court and it would have been disbanded, I'm sure.
But it was
But I
still-
mean, still.
Wow.
I mean, so the reason why Ben Carson gets his balls busted all the time is when he said a Muslim can't be president. It wasn't because of the religion per se. It was the ideology. An Islamic person
love
cannot,
Ben Carson.
which is a great guy to love. I mean, right? He just does not very exciting. But I mean, but he's right though, because a true Islamic person cannot pledge allegiance to anything but the Quran, Hadith, and the Sirah, because they're trying to establish one caliphate under one caliph. It's an imperialistic mindset. I don't care what anyone says. It's a fact. I mean, and if you look at the facts, and even all the greatest Islamic apologists, you can go straight to their scriptures and to their books, and you can debate them on this stuff, but nobody's prepared for it because they're afraid of being called a name.
Would you say this is the greatest threat currently to America?
But now that the border's taken care of, yes.
Yeah.
I see you. Yeah.
And I would say, going one step further, our ignorance of it is the problem.
I mean, yeah. They're right. You're right.
We've got people signing up.
Yeah. Did
you see
signing
the
up
video
to,
I sent you
to
guys?
join the
Oh
movement.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And tell me this:
They're not even secret about it.
if you throughout the political sphere like stumbled across like I got to dig deeper into this 2015-ish. When did it like surface for you as far as like, hey, this is a problem? Like, I'm just curious of when that was and where it was.
Well, 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started studying it.
Yeah. And I only asked that.
It was right. It was right. So I mean, 9/11.
Yeah.
The reason I like Bill Werner is because he's much older than me, but his story was similar.
Stay close to the mic.
Because of 9/11. Bill Werner.
Gotcha.
Bill Werner is really, I think, a true gift to social media.
Yeah.
You should look up his stuff. He's put a
Bill
lot
Warner,
of stuff
look him
on
up.
it. Anyway, it was in the aftermath of 9/11.
Gotcha.
And I began to study it, and I remember thinking, this has been going on for centuries, and I just didn't appreciate it like I did. And so I began to study Islamic history, and I delved right into it. And that's when I bought Nuhamim Keller's The Reliance of the Traveler, which is really the most authoritative Sharia manual out there.
Interesting.
And it's Traveler with 2 L's.
Yeah.
And it's all broken up in category. It's literally broken up in category. It's really how do you treat certain people groups. There's a lot devoted to the kafir, which is a
Kafir is a
non-Muslim.
non-believer. Yeah.
So whether you're a homosexual, whether you're a woman,
Christian.
all of this is broken out. And I thought, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then Bill Werner goes so far as to say, man, this is coming here to the United States. Are you kidding me? It's already happening. And that was literally 25 years ago.
I asked that because I think for many people, so much of it doesn't, like it has not come into our line of sight.
No.
Not like this. This is, I think now social media a little bit, I mean, within like, honestly, just like last like couple of years, maybe. But, and again, I think it probably goes to, I don't know, when it comes to some of our school system and teaching, things like that. But I know that there was like an uptick right after 9/11 of like, but it was all in the category. This has been in the
news. I mean, there's been Islamic attacks here, terrorist attacks here.
Yeah.
But this has been in the news for 10 years. Nico and I started talking about this in 2015.
Yep.
Yes.
And I had relatives overseas who were sending videos.
In Germany?
Yeah.
Remember
Correct.
that?
And I had friends in Germany, nobody in France, but certainly in Portugal. And then we were seeing them here. They were squeaking through and coming through. But when ISIS was on the run, and then you had problems in Syria, and you saw a lot of North Africans, and the unrest was just unleashing hordes of Islamic quote unquote migrants, and they were landing in the shores of Italy, Greece.
I guess I'm just curious.
France,
like none of it has been
It
visible
all
to.
has felt out there.
You know,
But
I'm just
I
curious.
was sending these
why.
videos to Nico. We were talking about them.
Oh, I'm sure that it was.
And you saw people crying. I remember people in Italy crying
Mm-hmm.
because the government was facilitating. They had nowhere to put these people, and they were literally kicking residents out of their own homes
Mm-hmm.
to house quote unquote migrants in this. So we started seeing this 10 years ago, and then it became truly a political movement to be reckoned with.
I mean, if you just look at Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the UK. It's insane. And this is how it happens. You lose Dearborn, you lose New York, and you get another company. Thank God Minnesota, that nut job didn't make it. But I mean, the guy in Minnesota, that weird looking dude, right? He didn't make it. But I mean, this guy's speaking in a different language, and his speeches, it was very aggressive.
Somalian.
He spoke to it.
I mean,
he did
good,
speak
good.
to it,
Well, I mean, this is the reality of it. I mean, look what's happening in Nigeria. Well, if you study Bill Warner says it perfectly. I really think it's accurate. He says there is no radical Islam.
It's just Islam.
There's just Islam.
Wow.
And if you don't think it's radical, it's because they're not following the tenets of Islam. That's it. And the Hadith, the Quran makes up about 14% of the religion. The Hadith makes up, and the Sirah is the autobiography of Muhammad. We know more about Muhammad than we know about George Washington. We know how he took a shit. We know how he did sex. We know how he ate. We know everything about, because he had scribes. He was illiterate. He had scribes writing for him.
Yeah.
And so we know a lot about him. And so Bill Warner says it that way, and I think it's accurate. David Wood, I mean, is another gem that we have. David Wood is bold. He's super intelligent. Sam Shimon, even though I disagree with him on other theological points in Christianity, Sam Shimon is devastating on debating on Islam.
Islam.
Oh my God, Sam is just a beast. Again, I disagree with him on some other things, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but
I think
But
just
we
to be
need more
hopeful. There's an uptick. There's an uptick within different Christian spaces. That's like, hey, John Bevere has been a really good one. I don't know if you guys know him. Amazing pastor. Brought on a guy who
he's talking about Islam.
Yeah,
John?
yeah.
Good for him. That surprises me.
Yeah.
John Bevere at the
And then Salo, the Millicent and her husband were on there. What's
They're
her husband's
bold.
name?
That's those people from the UK or Australia.
And he was on John Bevere, and John Bevere asked him.
Oh yeah, the couple.
The couple.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
who-
the guy.
Yeah.
You're having him win?
They're coming back here.
Oh, you got to tell me.
She's
You gotta tell me
bold.
about
That
You
little
gotta tell me.
chick is
Yeah.
bold, man.
You gotta tell me
She
about
spoke as she is.
She spoke as she is.
Yeah,
Oh,
Millicent.
okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
In New York.
He's
So
he's just a couple
So
of
he
these.
spoke. He's the one that put me on to Takia.
Takia. To lie to further the
Yeah,
movement.
so
Yeah,
he's the one that.
Yeah.
From there. So it's,
Ali Beth Stuckley. She's been. I mean, there's a couple ones that's just starting to with big platforms.
Yeah.
That have.
But
really,
look, we're so far behind the
We're
game.
behind.
The thing I
We're
worry
behind.
about is how do you fix it?
The church is always behind, though.
Well,
I will say
they
that.
always are. Well, why? This is the point. Because there's
We
a
are.
lack
We
of
are.
courage.
Yeah.
2 Timothy 1:7 says God didn't give us a spirit of timidity. Ephesians 4:15, we speak the truth in love with love in our heart, but also boldness.
Yeah.
And to properly handle God's word, and we don't do that. And then we're worried about, we want to kumbaya people into heaven.
Yeah.
And like when we first started the podcast, Nico said shit. You're worried about me saying shit, and they're over there, doing
Right.
the crap they're doing. I mean, we're just so goofy. Now, I'll tell you who's been an absolute beast on this for years is Pastor Bill Maher. That guy, for sure.
Bill Maher.
Bill.
I'm joking.
Oh,
Bill
I
Maher.
was
Bill
gonna
Maher.
say.
I'm just saying.
I know Bill Maher, but I'm like,
I'm going to
Pastor
give him a
Bill,
pastor because it's better.
When did that
He's
happen?
better than more pastors out there talking about.
When did that conversion
Bill
happen?
Maher. Yeah, I want him to be a Christian, but that's just my personal thing. But Bill Maher has been speaking out on this, and there's a famous debate between him, Sam Harris, an atheist, and Ben Affleck, because Ben Affleck is just virtue signaling and acting like the prick that he is, and just talking out of his ass. But Bill Maher and Sam are just crushing him on Islam, and Bill Maher actually defends Christianity when it comes to Christianity and Islam, because he understands the difference.
Yeah.
And so Bill's been consistent about that. And yet, again, I disagree with Bill on most
of course,
things,
of course.
a lot of things, except for free speech and stuff like this. But so the church needs to wake up. But you can't wake up if you're not educated, because then you can't properly handle the word, and you can't debate and talk and influence people.
That was what I was going to say. I think there's, for sure, we talk about the courage piece 1,000% a lot. I think there's just the ignorant piece too. Just like,
very
again, some of the
naive.
things of just, where did this come from? Like, I don't, and just even from my own self, I'm like,
Absolutely.
when
I
did
fall
that
into that
become a
category.
thing? And then, George is like, well, 30 years ago. I'm like, dang, what?
30 years.
Well, think
how
about
did this-
Hosea 4:6. My people perish
Yeah,
for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not bliss, it's
Yeah.
dangerous. And then you have ignorance and cowardice, and forget about it. That's a recipe for destruction.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about it. Look, if you look at Syria used to be Christian. Egypt used to be Christian. Turkey used to
I
be
took them
Christian.
through a little history.
Oh,
of the
you get
Ottoman
around
Empire.
shit.
That's
I'm
what
behind
I
you.
mean.
I gotta get back
That's
to
what I
Sal,
said. I told them you often bring up the fact that Turkey, because it's really where the Ottoman Empire started. It was a 700-year empire. It started in Turkey. It was overwhelmingly Christian. I mean, if you're reading the New Testament and you're reading about Asia Minor, that's northwest Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Don't
a
think it
lot of
can't
these- a
happen
lot of
here?
those house churches
It can
have been
happen right
gutted.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
UK, England used to be Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I say used to because it's not
Strong
anymore.
Christian
All the
influence
churches are
over
closing down, and they're buying. The mosques are buying them.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing stabbings, you're seeing this, you're seeing assaults on women. You have to understand the way that ideology, if it's left to its own devices, and treat women. Women are chattel. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we prosecuted a case before I left office with this couple. It was a public case. They were saying, where'd you run away from home? She ran away from home because her daddy, we found out, and we charged him with it before I left office. He threw burning hot water on her because she would not honor this prearranged marriage, and she didn't want to. And they have honor killings. I mean, their own children. I mean, brother, it's insane when you get into Sharia, when you understand it. And I'm not applying this to all Islamic people. The Islamic people that say, you know what, we need to reform. I'm not all in on that. Some of the nicest. George has a very good friend.
George
that's
is
Islamic.
telling
I
us
mean,
about it.
sweetheart dude. I've never met him, but George thinks the world of him.
Yeah. I mean,
Thinks the world of him.
The whole family.
I have friends that are Islamic, but they're not.
They don't follow the
They're
book.
not. No, I mean they don't want to live in Yemen. They want to live here, and they're Americanized, and they're not all in on Sharia. That's the idea for me. So I love the debates where you can take the Quran and actually defend Jesus from the Quran.
From the Quran.
Yes,
Yep,
and
yep. I love that too.
understanding.
I love that
and
too.
so there's people higher pay grade than me, but we have to inform people. The church needs to start talking about it. And that's what I love about Ed. Pastor Ed's been doing it. Ed
Did you see Stephanie?
Well, yes, man. She's got,
She
she's
received
got-
so much heat from Christians about it,
for what?
for talking about how is the Quran is not the holy book of God.
I mean, it's just
we follow one
What
book.
what stupid dick Christian would say that?
All right,
All
all right.
right.
So
That-
this
that-
has been
that
R-rated podcast.
That is ridiculous.
dumbass.
Are you
That's a
serious?
dumbass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
That
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah.
ridiculous. Stephanie,
yeah.
has you heat for that?
Yo, she
All
took
on
of
social
heat.
media.
That is the.
Oh, why
height
didn't
of
you tag me on it? Because I would have jumped right into that.
Yeah,
I
you
was
were
put in
saying that the
trial.
Quran is not the holy book and Allah is not the God of the Holy Bible.
What the hell?
Who said that?
Stephanie said that
Those aren't
Allah.
Christians. Those aren't Christians. If they
Oh,
express that,
that-
they're
that
not
went
Christians.
against what she said,
There's no
yeah.
way they're Christians.
Of course not.
I'm gonna start
Christians.
tagging.
Of course
I'm gonna
not.
start
If-
tagging
Tag
Nico
my
in
ass.
all
It's
of
not
the.
even hard.
Text me.
Yeah, I know.
You
I know.
can't
didn't call
listen.
me.
You try telling a devout Muslim,
Yeah, right.
that they're
Right.
the same God,
Yeah.
Yep.
and under Sharia, that's punishable by death. That's the greatest sin in Islam is the sin of shirk, which is a violation of chapter 112, verse 1, which is basically, I mean, it's strict monotheism. It's the association of anything with Allah, and so the whole Trinity is an affront to
Which
that
is why-
because
yeah,
they're
yes.
interassociated.
That's right.
They're co-eternal.
There's no way those are Christians.
I don't
They're
even know
just
what to
not.
say.
Those are bots.
But this is what I mean. This is about illiteracy.
Yeah.
He says we have a courage problem. We got a competency problem, which leads to a courage problem.
Yep.
We need another show.
Man, why didn't they?
Do it.
we
Hit
gotta
it,
go.
hit
I
it,
gotta-
hit it, Nico. At least
What?
do the sign off. Do the
Come on, do our
salutation.
sign
I mean,
off.
I've been kicked off the show, obviously. We got the black Israelites here taking over the show. R-rated Christianity, guys. Thanks for being. Look, I think I have one more. I think I have one more week of trial.
Yeah.
God willing, we'll be done.
That's all right. That's all right,
So
brother.
we're gonna get into the 5th week of trial.
Yeah.
Fight the good fight, baby.
Yeah, man. So I got to go talk to some experts. But God bless you guys. Thanks for being here. Share this with someone you think may benefit from it. Thank you to my brothers.
Yes.
Even when I come
Yes.
back, I hope you guys are part of the show anyway.
Yes.
Baby,
Love
come
you.
on,
You aren't
baby.
guests. You're part of the
Come
show.
on, baby. I have.
man.
Go
What?
ahead.
Say it.
I was gonna say I've grown being here. So
Oh,
just,
I tell them that all the time.
Yeah.
No,
I tell them
man,
that all the
what a
time.
joy.
Dumber or hopefully
I'll
not.
say that off camera.
I'm
What I
still
do.
pissed off that people are criticizing Steph.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you all about
Bro,
it.
Man.
we got to show you more.
Yeah.
I challenge them to tag me and shit like that. God bless you guys. Bye bye.